Hi guys, welcome to the video series of Elliott wave theory. In this section we will be covering the basic of the theory, and as week progresses we'll be getting into more details and into some real-time examples. Now the Elliott wave theory was discovered by Ralph Nelson Elliott, and what he basically suggested was that market moves up or down in recognizable patterns. Now he gave these recognizable patterns and structures, and he represented them in the form of waves. Or rather, what he found was that these structural movements in the market happen in form of waves. From what I have learned from my own experience is that every theory that you encounter in the market, it can be rather classified into a predictive theory or a reactive theory. A reactive theory is one which makes you follow the market where it goes, whereas a predictive theory is one which at some extent gives you insight into the probable future direction of the market. Alright, now again, before we move forward, keep in mind that Elliott wave, what Ralph Nelson Elliott suggested, was not primarily a forecasting tool. It just gives you insight into how the mass psychology is behaving. But again, once you start practicing this theory in real time, you would know that this theory has some predictive value going into the future. Now, the Elliott wave principle suggests that there exists a 5-wave pattern while moving ahead. Let me just get the pointer right. Alright. Now throughout this video, kindly pay attention to the mouse pointer. Alright. Okay. So what we can see is that this is a 5-wave structure where wave 1, 3 and 5, that is 1, 3 and 5, essentially determine the direction of the market. Alright. Wave 2 and wave 4 are basically counter waves to wave 1, 3 and 5. Alright. Now before we move forward, there are 3 essential rules that no one who practices the Elliott wave can break. These 3 rules at any cost have to be adhered to, else what you'd be practicing would not be the actual Elliott wave principle. And this is where many analysts make mistakes. They often argue that one rule here and there could be violated. But in my opinion, anyone who's violating any rule that is suggested in this theory is essentially practicing some other principle. So let us revisit the first rule. That is, the wave 2 never moves below wave 1. Now the low of wave 1 is here. Look at the mouse pointer. And the low of wave 2 is here. Now what this rule means is that a low of wave 2 cannot be lower than low of wave 1. Okay. Now wave 2 can retrace entirely up to the low of wave 1 and still it can classify as a wave 2, but it cannot at any cost move down. Alright, that numbering won't be correct. Okay. The second rule is that wave 3 can never be the shortest. Either wave 1 can be shortest, wave 5 can be shortest, but wave 3 cannot be the shortest. And here I would like to bring you to a very important point, that when measuring whether wave 3 is the longest or the shortest, you need to keep your chart at a semi-logarithmic or a logarithmic scale. Do not keep it on the arithmetic scale, because sometimes it becomes difficult to know which wave is the longest and the shortest. Usually in stock markets, wave 3 are the longest waves, but in commodities wave 5 usually are the longest. Our last principle or the rule is that wave 4, that is price territory of wave 4, does not enter the price territory of wave 1. That means the high of wave 1 cannot enter the low of wave 4. Alright? Okay. Once more, before we leave this slide, please put these 3 rules as the key rules while practicing this theory. These 3 rules cannot be violated at any cost. Okay? Okay. Now, what Ralph Nelson Elliott suggested was that the wave development essentially takes place in 2 distinctive phases. One are the motive waves, the first phase, that is, which is usually the 5-wave structure, what we saw here, the 5-wave structure. This is the motive wave. And the second phase, which you'll see on the next slide, is the corrective waves, that is the 3-wave structure. Now, corrective waves are simply those waves which correct the motive waves. So remember, motive waves form a 5-wave structure, corrective waves form a 3-wave structure, and together, when they are put together, it forms a complete wave cycle of 8 waves. Alright? Okay, as we can see here, this was our previous chart. That is, we had wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. Okay, this is the motive wave. And see the corrective waves: wave A, wave B, wave C. This is a 3 structure: 1, 2, 3 wave structure, that is 3. And this is a 5 structure: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright? The motive waves are numbered. Okay? They are labeled as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas the corrective waves are labeled as A, B, C. Okay? Now, what we have to identify is that where currently the broader market is within this structure. That's the key. Whether we are in wave 3, whether we are in wave 4, whether we are in wave 5, or we are correcting, wave C, wave B, that is the key. That, I feel, is the most positive point of this theory. That if your numbering is correct, if you're practicing the theory correctly, then there is a very high probability of you knowing where you exactly are within the 8-wave cycle. Okay? Okay. Now, till now we have only covered the basics of the theory. And before we move into much detail, there's one more basic aspect I want to touch about before finishing this video. That is that within a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern of a larger degree, there are subdivisions of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and ABC within that pattern. Now this sounds confusing. Just follow the mouse pointer here. It will be much clearer to you. Now don't pay attention to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Just focus here. This is the larger wave 1, then wave 2, then wave 3, then wave 4. Alright? Don't pay attention to other labelings. So that means we have a 1, 2, 3, 4 structure. Alright? Now look how this is divided. Wave 1 is subdivided into 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright? Now essentially, what corrects this wave 1 is a wave 2. Okay? But since we know from our previous slide that anything that corrects the primary trend of the market that corrects in a three-wave structure, because corrective waves move in a three-wave structure. So look how wave 2 develops. It develops as A, B, C. Got it? Now again, if we see wave 3, which is a motive wave, and motive waves moves in a five-wave structure, it moves the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright? Now wave 4 corrects this wave 3. So anything that corrects, it moves in a three-wave structure. So A, B, C. Alright? Now let me repeat this whole thing for you. Let us go back a few slides to make this thing clear again. Okay. Now look here. What we had here is that wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, these are motive waves. What is motive wave? Which propels the market into some primary trend. It can be down also, but here we are taking an example of an uptrend. So this complete five-wave structure is corrected by a three-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. Alright? But if you subdivide this wave 1, which is a motive wave, it should subdivide into 5 waves, which is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? But wave 2 corrects the wave 1 here. So whatever corrects, it always moves in a three-wave structure. So we get A, B, C for this two-wave structure. Sorry, for this second wave, not structure. Okay? Similarly, wave 3 is a motive wave. So it takes a five wave form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Now wave 3 is corrected by a wave 4. Because it is corrective in nature, it has to follow a three-wave structure. That is A, B, C. Alright? So here I've mentioned that motive waves always form the five-wave structure, whereas corrective waves always form the three-wave structure. If you get this basic concept correct at this stage, then at later stages it's going to help you tremendously. Okay? So what we have seen, that one larger degree wave 1 subdivides into smaller degree of 5 waves. Okay? One larger degree of wave 2 subdivides into 3 wave of ABC because it's corrective in nature. Again, let me repeat. Anything that determines the direction of the market or the motive wave moves in a 5-wave structure, whereas anything that corrects a primary trend moves in 3-wave structure. So what you have to essentially determine every time, whether it's a motive wave or corrective wave. If it's a motive wave, there will be 5 waves, 5 waves associated with it. If it's a corrective wave, there will always be 3 waves associated with it. Alright? Now with this we come to the end of a very basic introduction on Elliott wave. As time progresses, we will be getting into much detailed aspects, but at this stage our whole emphasis is to make the videos as small as possible in length so that one can focus entirely and learn in small bits. Later on, when we have studied all the principles of Elliott waves, we will practice a lot of examples in real time, and the same will be posted in the forum. So in the members section of the forum, kindly visit for discussions in case you have any doubt. And again, I have mentioned the book name here, that's of Elliott wave principle. The authors are Proctor and Frost, and I definitely recommend that as you see these videos, kindly go ahead and read the book as well.